and their impacts. What is a family environment? We looked at that last week. We looked at positive family environments, negative family environments, and how family members relate to each other. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our 37th Families Grow Together show. My name is Akwa. I am an early intervention practitioner, parenting coach, and today we're continuing with the impact of family environments. Welcome, Nelly.
Thank you so much, Akwa. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show today. It's a continuation of last week. I am Nelly Kwasumi, a transformational life coach and a social worker. If you have any comments, please share in the comment and we will answer. If it's a question or if it's a comment, we will read that out. We are here to learn from you and we hope you will gain something from us. So thank you so much. So I will just recap on what we talked about last week. The topic is family environment and their impact. Last week was part 1, and we looked at what is a family environment. Talked a lot about that. Then we looked at positive family environment. What do they do? What does a positive family environment look like? So that one is a nurturing environment that promotes growth and development, whereas negative family environment is very destructive because people get so scared and they don't come out with the best in themselves. And we started looking at how family members relate to each other. We have some more questions on that bird. We'll put it at the end if we have more time to look at that. So for today, we'll look at communication in family environment. We'll not talk much on defining communication because we have had a session where we talked about communication. And last week, we talked about communication in a bit to make the environment one that each member in that family can express themselves. So I will start off by asking a question to Akwa. So Akwa, it could be from your personal experience, from professional experience, what your clients tell you, and so on. So what are some of the reasons for poor family communication within a family environment?
Some of the reasons for poor family communication in the family environment. 1, sometimes we do not even know what a good family environment looks like or what good communication is. And as such, if we do not understand what good communication looks like, any communication for us is communication. And sometimes this impacts the family relationships and dynamics negatively, because if one person feels like they can shout at people, another person feels like they just need you to speak to them gently. Doesn't matter what the subject is. And another person feels like it is normal to talk over other people, then obviously that doesn't make for good communication. So obviously we looked at communication in other previous sessions, and we know that communication is a two-way thing. One person speaks, the other person listens. Information is passed and then perceived by the other in such a way that it is understandable. So if in a family environment, people are not speaking the same language may not necessarily mean that, like I said earlier, it may not necessarily mean that we are speaking English. It means that the way I perceive communication is different from the way you perceive communication, and we do not understand our temperaments in the house, then we will struggle. So that is one of the first thing, is not understanding what good communication looks like. Another thing is to we sometimes do not listen to understand. We listen to respond. We want to make our points heard. We want to be the one with the witty comeback. Not that we don't really care about what the other person is saying. We know we're actually planning what we're going to say next. And as such, if somebody in the family doesn't feel heard, then the feelings are invalidated. And that makes for a difficult family environment. So if you don't feel like whatever you say is going to be heard and taken on board, then sometimes we tend to shut down, especially between spouses or parents and children. And as such, a child may feel that, okay, every time I say something to my parents, they either shut me down or they shout me down or they say, please, I don't have time now. And so children would tend to shut down and they will not communicate with us in the family, and they'll go talk to other people. And when it comes to spouses or intimate partners, if one person is very dominant and doesn't listen to what the other has to say, or one person is invalidating, or both of them could be the same. It's not like one person always has to be the good host, another person has to be the bad one. Two people both of you can be good and both of you can be bad in the way you communicate. And as such, this will impact the family dynamics as well. So I think I'll stop there for now, and I hope it answers the question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aqua, for that, for the reasons for poor communication in family environment. I will just talk a bit more about what the parents or the adults within a family environment portray. So children, like we know, learn from the parents. So the way parents communicate will ultimately be the way those children learn, and they know that that's how they communicate because they don't know any better. So if parents don't know how to sort out issues and they shout at each other, the home environment will be such that it is okay to shout at people. And that's what the child will learn until they go to school and they shout at other children, for them to find out that it's not okay, it is not right to shout at other people. But then, because that's what they have learned and they see it regularly with their parents, they don't know otherwise. And sometimes they might be defensive that why is the teacher or whoever is saying that that behavior is not right? Why are they saying so? So whatever communication styles parents are using, let them be aware, let us be aware that our children are seeing, they are observing, they are learning, and they are copying. So they will be 100% reflection of us. But then when they go to school, their own social environment, they'll start struggling because their approach will not be acceptable. So for me, I will say it's for parents, for couples, partners, for adults within a family environment to take a step back and identify their communication styles within a family. The absence of emotional bonding is another contribution to poor communication within a family, because when each member of the family think of themselves as an individual, disregarding the family unity, then each person will just think of their own needs, and then they will not communicate their needs or to find out the needs of other family members. So they think only of me, 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 me. And then it brings a lot of emotional disconnect, and it will prevent others to open up because they don't know how the other person might respond, or probably they have had a couple of experiences when they tried to say something and they were not acknowledged. There's also a lack of patience where parents, who are in a busy world, Parents are so busy. You have one or two things to do, and even time for yourself, you don't have it. But just have a sit back and think, how is that impacting on my relationship with children? How is it impacting on my communication with the children? One thing that I've realized is parents will buy all the things that they think the children need, like buy the food, buy the clothes, shoes, toys, buy so many things, gadgets for the children. And they say they have provided for the children. Yeah, in actual fact, the parents have provided for the children, but that's not all. Those children need the adults to be spoken to and to speak to. Because if you don't speak to a child, how will the child know what to speak, how to speak? I know this one is Aqua's specialty, but we need to look into those. So going back to the lack of patience, because we are so busy, the children will learn that parents are busy. They too will devise their own means. And who knows, the family will struggle to communicate. And if in a family environment, there's lack of communication, and like Aqua said from the very beginning, we grow up knowing that the environment, our family environment, that's their own way of communication. And because we don't know any other way, we know that is the best. So most of the time, we don't even know what good communication is. We don't know either what bad communication is. What we know is that is how we communicate in my family, in our family, and then it ends there. But then who defines what poor communication is and what good communication is? So I think in this all, I'm not giving any definition, but I think if we look into the impact or the consequences of poor communication, then we might start figuring out, is this good? Is this bad? What are we going to do? So I'll end there for now. Thank you so much. Aqua, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you, Nelly. When you talked about patience, that is a very good one, because sometimes, especially when you are a working parent and you've just given all you have out there, and you come back in at home, you do not just want in, you just need some space to, 5 minutes to yourself. And then kids may run and come, mommy this, mommy that, mommy, or that, this, that, and just like, what do you want? Just get away from me. And it is not their fault. They've been out as well, and they need that attention from you. And so it is important that we do things on purpose, that we create the right environment on purpose, and we communicate, because we can choose how we communicate. Because if we're out there in the world, we don't just go out there and start blah, 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 and just talk anyhow to people. Whereas at home, when we feel comfortable, those are the people that we take for granted the most. And so we should learn to be patient with our own family members.
Thank you for that. When you were talking, what came to mind was, there's one of my coaches, Shazad Sherman, who is the author of Positive Intelligence. I learned so much from him. So what he said is, he used to get upset and he would shout at his son, because his son is the eldest. He would shout at his son. But then one day he realized that his way of communication is not right, because he'll be sending his son away from him when he really wants that close relationship with his son. So what he did was, he called his son and said, son, when I shout at you, it's not because I want to. It's because it's his saboteurs, because each and every one of us has a saboteur. He says, ate his saboteur. So he told the son that, son, when I am shouting, know that it's not me, that's Shazad, that it's not him, it's the saboteur. So he differentiated him from the saboteur. So the son asked, so dad, when the saboteur takes over, what do I do? So the dad told him what to do. For instance, just stay calm or walk away and things like that. So each time the dad got upset and shouted, because they already had that communication, they had the plan in place, the child will behave just the way that, probably just give space to the dad to calm down. And when he calms down, probably is fatigue from coming from work and taking people's whatever challenges they are going through, and it's just full on in your head. So when he calms down, then he goes and have a good conversation. Even just having that time to be with the son to improve on the emotional bonding. So when you were speaking, that came to mind, because I mean, I learned so much from Shazad. So thank you for that. So I know we've talked about some of the impacts of poor communication in family environment. So what do you think are some of them, the impact or the consequences?
The consequences, obviously, the obvious one is poor family relationships. Because if we cannot communicate, then we cannot build good relationships, because good relationships are built on communication and spending time together. But if we cannot communicate right, and we cannot spend beautiful moments together, because everybody is in their own little world, because maybe they may be scared of talking, because they feel like, if I say anything, how are they going to react? How is he going to react? How is she going to react? Will they interpret what I've said in a bad way? So the first consequence for me is that it destroys relationship. Bad communication destroys relationships, because relationships are built by spending time together and getting to know one another. And you can only get to know one another when you talk about things together. If you cannot share yourself, you cannot share what your likes are, your dislikes, and you're just assuming that people around you know exactly what you need, then that's a massive thing. They will not know. They're not magicians. They will give you what they like. I'll tell you what, or I'll treat you the way I want you to treat me, not necessarily the way you want to be treated. And as such, if we do not have those discussions, then we make assumptions about what the next person likes or doesn't like, and it makes a conflict. Another thing is that, apart from the fact that it destroys relationships, the environment in the house is sometimes full of strife. You know, that undertone that is there. It's like, you know, there's something wrong. You cannot place your finger on it. You cannot, you're scared that you say something, or you don't even know what to say. And as such, everybody withdraws, because nobody wants to be the one to be the first person to say it, or to be the one to disrupt the supposed peace or the calm that supposedly is around the house. So everybody will just stay in their corner and do their own thing, or they'll go and start talking to different people. When we that is the general. When it comes to intimate relationships, if you cannot communicate well, there is no way that your relationship will work. Because even though you think you love this person, you don't know everything about them. And if you do not communicate with that person, you don't know how to love them. Everybody has a different love language, including our children. So it is important to communicate how you want to be loved to the person you're intimately related with. And same with your children. What do you like? My kids call me up all the time. You do not have to shout. You do not have to shout. Why are you shouting, Mom? Or why are you being aggressive, Mom? I'm like, that's my tone of voice. I'm excited. I'm not aggressive. So It is important that we get to know each other and that we understand, like you said about Shazad and the son. Tell your children that if I'm talking like this, not necessarily mean that I am angry at you or I am being aggressive or defensive. It's just that I'm passionate about what I'm saying. I'm excited about it. And because they've called your attention to it, as well, we need to start making purposeful strides at accommodating other people. Another consequence that I may think about is, like you said it, our children learn from us. So how they see us communicate is how they will communicate as well. And as such, they'll take what they've learned at home. We're the first educators. They'll take what they've learned at home and take it out there, thinking that it's normal. And then they go and encounter other people who have different communication styles, and then they struggle. So it's important that we teach our children. It doesn't necessarily mean that shouting is bad or speaking very gently is the best. It's all about how we express ourselves and make people understand that we're not trying to overpower them and things like that. So another consequence is that our children may learn these skills, these disruptive ways of communicating and take it out there into the world and eventually into the workplaces. So they become bullies or they become bullied themselves, or so the consequences are a lot. The struggle with making friends, the struggle working in a team, all these things start from the home. Most often than not, everything that impacts us both positively and negatively starts in the home. And so it is important that we try our best to instill these habits in our children, learn to communicate, learn to respect one another, because respect is the key when communicating. If we do not respect the other person, then we will not, first of all, listen to them. What they say will not even matter to us, so we will not care to listen to understand. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for those points. When you were talking, what came to mind was to get to a person's heart through the mouth. And it's by communication, because people have different ways of communicating different things. And if two people get together in a relationship, sometimes people say, I know you more than you know yourself.
You know yourself. No, you don't.
Obviously, that's not right. Because even me, the person, don't even know myself. So how comes some other person who is a human being is saying that they know me more than I know myself? In fact, that's just a form of control, which is not right. So yes, there are many consequences for poor communication within a family environment. People feel emotionally abandoned because sometimes poor communication, for instance, some people have their own way of dealing with things by ignoring others. And to them, it's their own way of communication, because they'll say, no communication is a treatment. So you need to sort yourself out. But then what are you communicating? So the person at the receiving end feels emotionally abandoned, and it has a direct impact on the relationship, because you will not feel confident or even try to express yourself, because you don't know if you'll be ignored again or you'll be blamed or something. So then you start being very, very selective and say only the essential things. And then you don't feel like you are free in that relationship, because you can't say what you want to say, because I believe a lot of people get into relationships for various reasons. But some relationships, people want to be friends first before the relationship. If you think that you are getting into a relationship on the basis of friendship, and then after some time you realize that you can't even express yourself, then you start questioning, where is the friendship? And it's down to poor communication. Then many other things come in because we develop different coping strategies to meet our emotional needs. Another consequence is selfishness, and it links to the people just being individuals in the family. You just want to think of me, me, me. And you have your needs, yes, but because you've not communicated those needs, you want the needs to be met by some other family members who do not even have a clue what those needs are. And then you want to interpret that, oh, they're being wicked to me. They don't want to meet my needs. Anyway, I can do that myself. And then you start doing only things for yourself, doing things for your friends to put up that show that I am, and then ignoring your family. Sometimes it can lead to tyrannical behaviors in the family because the children in the family might feel that they have no voice because they can't speak to their parents or to one of their parents or to the adults in the family. And like siblings, I mean, they have their own issues. So if they can't express that, those who are stronger or the older siblings might want to bully the younger ones or maltreat them. And that increases the risk of the younger children developing a lot of emotional issues, which will eventually come out in the form of behavior, and they will carry that into their adulthood, where they will really struggle, because a lot of people struggle to express themselves. Why is this? It's not something that starts from adulthood. If you look at the root cause, I know I can smile because I say this all the time. It goes back to growing up. How was the home environment? How was the family environment? Was communication promoted, or was it discouraged, or was nothing said about it? Was it just neutral? How was it? It can also lead to another consequence is family isolation. Because if family members feel that they have things to say, but they don't know if it's the right thing or the wrong thing, and they don't feel comfortable sharing that information, then to keep themselves safe, they might want to start being alone, just stay alone with their thoughts, and probably start looking for other friendships somewhere where they can express themselves. Because, I mean, we are social beings, we are human beings, we are not isolated. We don't need to be isolated. We need to live in that social environment, and it is a natural instinct. So we want to be with others. There's also mistrust among family members, because if, say, partners, couples, those in relationship, they don't feel comfortable to express themselves because of misjudgment, or you say something in plain language, but then the other person uses it against you because they will manipulate your information against you. That brings a lot of mistrust, and you will not even want to share the basic information. And then it will lead to a lot of assumptions, again, down to the relationship that Aqua talked about earlier on. So those are some of the consequences of poor communication in a family environment. And obviously, those for the children are also, it will reflect those of the parents, and the children will carry it plus their own challenges into their own adulthood. So that will be something different. And again, consider the children's community, the society where they live in, it might be double. So, Aqua, any additional
Thank you, Nelly. You said something that is quite critical, the emotional abandonment and well-being of the family members involved, because it is one thing to know that yeah, you are unable to communicate, but when your feelings are hurt in and invalidated, it is quite another thing as well. And as such, it can lead to, like you said, to isolation. And this is very important because it then impacts on our mental health and emotional well-being, which not only impacts us, impacts the people around us, impacts on our work, our school, and in short, our life in general. So sometimes we may think that we're doing something to please ourselves, forgetting about the impact it has on the other people around us and even on ourselves, because if we now withdraw now to go and talk to other people, we might end up in places where we never thought we would be in. So it is very critical that we really talk about these things so that people can understand that there could be some dire consequences if these things are not resolved, and if you do not have the right people around you supporting you. Because yes, it can be happening in the home, and home is where the hurt is, as they usually put on the domestic violence things. And I listened to something yesterday, and somebody was describing what I was doing a safeguarding training, and they were describing how a child may feel when they're being followed by a bear. So you're running away from the bear, but the bear is in the house. So where do you hide? Where do you hide? If the bear was outside, you can run and come inside and shut the door. But when the bear is inside, where do you go? Where do you go? So it's a question for us to ask ourselves. Are we the bear? Are we the ferocious bear? So let's think about that.
Yeah, that's really, really true, because like working with I mean, from personal and professional experience, adults, a lot of parents, they say children are too young to understand what domestic violence is. If children hear parents shouting at each other, they might be quiet because they don't know how to stop their parents shouting at each other. To the parents, that's their way of communicating. But it's not right, because the children, the impact now on the children is they are very scared. They don't know when it will finish. They don't know if one of the parents will get hurt. They don't know when another shouting will take place. In a way, that is the bear in the house, because the house does not feel safe. The children don't feel safe at home. They are not secure. So what do? They prefer to be out of the house. When they go out of the house, because they are looking for a place of safety, security, acceptance, what they'll do is, it's easy, because at that stage, they'll present to be needy. And of course, a needy mind attracts another needy mind. So children are easily pulled into gangs, exploitation, and whatever. And then parents will only realize that their children are into some kind of gang culture or whatever. But then what parents easily do is they will blame the child and punish the child. But if you look back, that child is struggling. They are struggling with their emotions. They don't know whether it is safe to come and even speak to the parents or any of the parents. Will they even listen? Will they acknowledge their feelings? Will they be emotionally available? Are the parents dealing with their own issues that they don't even know how to resolve it. So there are just so many questions, which is why I always talk about emotional well-being. Our emotions, everyone experiences emotions. And like in African community, a lot of people think that emotion is a white man thing. No, it isn't. And just recently, actually last Saturday, I was in a meeting and this thing of emotional well-being came up. And a parent said, when we start bringing up this emotional well-being thing, our children we are instead helping our children to start to start developing mental health issues, and then parents will have no control over the children. And I was like, that sounded to me like an alien conversation. And imagine, it's less than a week ago conversation. And I was like, where is that coming from? I said, listen, despite the fact that when we were growing up in Cameroon, we didn't know anything, or I didn't know, and I know a lot of people didn't know anything about emotions. Not until I came to this country and I started learning, and then I knew about emotions. I did not know the actual knowledge. I had no knowledge about emotion, but I experienced different things. Like I knew I was sad, and I knew just sadness and happiness. I knew a lot of the times that I was sad, but I didn't know what that was. And it was considered that it was normal. And that is what in African communities, they still assume that emotions, we don't need to talk about emotions because there's so much lack of awareness on what emotions are. And when children start behaving because they develop unhealthy coping strategies to deal with their emotions, it is easy to see only the behaviors and to focus on the behaviors. But then, what is the reason behind that behaviors? Is the emotion. So communication, everything starts in the family and it also ends in the family. So let's take a step back and find out our communication styles, how we can improve on the communication within a family environment. So we can improve the relationships, we can improve communication, we can improve our awareness and knowledge of each family member. That can be done through communication. So, Aqua, I'll ask you, how or what can we do to improve communication within a family environment?
What can we do to improve communication in the family environment? First things is to learn what good communication looks like. We should be open to learning. That is the biggest and most important thing, because if you do not know what is good or what is bad, then you cannot, make improvements because you feel like what you are doing is the right thing. So we need to be open to learning. Let us learn what good communication looks like. Let us learn to listen and actively listen, not just listen and be there because somebody's talking. Somebody's talking to you and you're looking at at the wall over there. You do not hold eye contact. You do not even pay attention. You're not open. You're sitting there like, I have done it. I do it. So I'm not preaching to you guys. I am learning as well. And depending on the situation, you might be close to communication or you might be open to communication. Let us be actively learning and ask questions for clarification. We need to clarify and learn to clarify things. So if somebody says something and you do not understand what they mean, do not just assume that what they have said is what they mean, and reflect it back to them. am I okay to interpret that what you have said means this? Is it, oh, is this what you are trying to say? Is it right if I say that this is what you are, you mean by the statement that you've just made? So clarify, reflect back to that person so that because when they hear you reflect it back, they too are thinking about what they've just said. And as such, they might need to paraphrase, or they might confirm that, yes, exactly, you've understood me the way I wanted you to understand me. So it's important that we learn what good communication looks like. We actively listen, and we reflect things back to people. And another thing is, be open to learn, or to learning about the people in your household. Learn about their temperament. I know that it is a big subject, temperament, but let us have the basics of, because sometimes we may not use the big terms, the temperament, but know your children. Know that this person is loud and abrasive, and this, and that person is quiet and subtle, and this, and the other person is just, okay, they go with the flow. So if we know the temperaments of our children or of our spouses, that we know how to communicate with them in a way that will reach them. Because it is one thing for you to say that, okay, I am very angry, and as such, I'll talk like as I want to. That's me. And another person will like, okay, if you shout at me, I don't hear what you're trying to say. I choose not to hear what you're trying to say. Or even if they don't choose to hear what you're trying to say, it just flows over them. Like, I don't take it in. So if we learn about who these our different people are in our household and how they like to be communicated to, then we can adjust ourselves to that way and communicate with them accordingly. What else? Don't make assumptions about things. And if you feel like there's something that needs saying, say it. Just ask an open question. I am struggling with understanding this thing. Can you help me clarify it? But one thing is for certain, it is not easy to create that environment. It is not easy to be the one to go and make the first move or attempt at communication. It is not an easy thing, but we have to challenge ourselves to do what is best for our home environment. So, but sometimes it also needs that we keep quiet, know when to communicate, know when to say certain things. If emotions are high and you come inflamed, you're not going to make the thing better. You cannot pour kerosene on fire and expect that it extinguishes the fire. It would blow up the fire. But if something is happening and it is red hot, we need to use water to quench it. So it's important to perceive the environment and choose the right time to communicate. If I'm coming back from home, from work, and I'm so tired and exhausted, but the minute I open the door, Mama this, Mama that, can you do? I will not receive that communication right. I'm like, can you give me a minute to sit down and rest? What is it? What is so urgent that you have to bombard me the minute I enter the door? Same thing like with us. I come back from work, the kitchen is all messy. I'm like, what are you people doing in this house? Is that effective? Does it make them change? So it's important to choose your timing right and to know when to address certain issues and how to address them to the different people in your household. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for that. When you were talking, I'll talk on 2 points on temperament first. Yes, every child, every individual has different temperaments. Probably we don't even know the temperament we have, but if the home environment is conducive or promote communication, open communication, then you will easily identify what each member of the family likes. Though you don't need to assume, sometimes it's to ask to get confirmation. And the way family members speak, the way they receive information when they are being spoken to, you can easily determine that this person prefers to be approached this way or that way. And each family member is different. Don't just say you treat every family member the same. That is oppressive, because then you don't take into consideration their individual differences. So we treat each person to meet their own needs and probably their standards. And then the second one is, you said, initiating that conversation is not easy. Yes, I agree. However, for me, the starting point that I would say is, what are your intentions? Have an intention of what that communication or what you want to get out of that communication. Because when you set intention, it will give you the energy to initiate that conversation. If, for instance, there's something cooking and you've been pushing it aside because I don't want to, I just want peace. But then inside you, the situation is not getting better. The home environment is getting tense, and you keep that issue away. Both or either or one of you might not be able to withstand that long period of silence. They want to develop different ways of dealing with that emotion. They will go and do whatever they do, which is creating a lot more problems within the family. So give yourself time. I don't know what enough time is. If you know how you are feeling, then you can take what enough time is. When you feel that this, you've taken it for such a long time and you need to let it out. Take some time to meditate and reflect and have an intention for what you want out of that communication. When you want to initiate that communication, a lot of times we start by attacking that you did this, I did not like it. That person will be on the defensive, and in no way will that conversation progress. Whereas if you use a different approach to say, I feel really sad when you ignore me, when you stay out of the house, when you, whatever reason. That is a different approach, because you are not putting it on that person as a blame. So then that person will be like, okay, you who is saying it, you have taken it that it is your responsibility. You have put in your feeling that I feel, and that I statement is very important and is very helpful, because in no way are you attacking the other person. So with your intention, if your intention, for instance, is that you want to resolve an issue, you focus on that intention. So you have a goal, you are focusing on that goal, because that is the intention. You want to have that communication, good communication. So then, even if it gets to a point where you get agitated, always remind yourself, what is my intention? What do I want to get out of this conversation? Then obviously it will help you to calm down and remain focused on the intention. But if you start a conversation when you just want to talk, it will go any direction. So you need to be conscious, make conscious decision on what or choices intention on what you want to get out of conversation, because it will direct you. So Aqua has talked about listening. Yes, a lot of African families, I always say this, a lot of African families, especially parents or adults, when they say things to their children, it is like an order. That is it, period, done. And sometimes in relationships, depending on who is the dominating figure in that relationship, when they say something, it is final. No talking about it. It's just like a command. So if we realize that we are in a position where we say things and it's final, and if the other person wants to make a contribution, it's like, you want to oppose me? How, when has your voice been heard, and things like that? It's not valuing. So listen, actively listen, and give people the opportunity to express themselves. Listen, adults can learn from children as young as 1 year, 2 year, whatever age. Your age does not mean that you know everything. Children are wise. We learn from them. And let's show our emotions and feelings, because it will help other family members to be able to express or to show their feelings, their emotions, and talk about them. Another way to improve communication is, if you have more than one issue going on, tackle one at a time. Because most of these issues are linked. You say, oh, this day you did that, this day you did. No, it will be at the end very confusing. If you want to tackle an issue, focus on one issue. Pick one issue. For instance, when I speak to you, you don't respond. So that is what you want to tackle that one, that even if you don't agree with, respond, whether it's a yes or a no, but respond. Instead of tackling so many things, oh, you came back from work and you didn't get home. No, just tackle one thing at a. Spend quality time with family members. It doesn't mean that you spend the whole day with family members to be quality time. You might spend the whole day in the house with every member of the family, but you are not together. So being physically present is very different from emotional presence. Being in the busy world that we are today, if you create, say, 30 minutes to spend 30 minutes quality time with your children, with your spouse, with your partner, with your family members every single day, or when it permits. But say it shouldn't go more than a week, and be consistent. It depends on your family situation, but let it be consistent. Then family members will know that you are committed in that family unity. But if you are not committed, you only think of yourself, like I said before about selfishness, you only think of yourself and your needs and your priorities, then other family members will copy the same. And then there'll be no quality time, because even if you are busy and you send a message, just how are you doing today? That is showing concern. It means a lot, rather than just staying quiet for a week, a month, number of months. We need to communicate. And the last one I'll talk about is respect. A lot of people say, I am the head, the roof, the foot of the house. I need to be respected. I mean, respect is, we give respect and we receive respect. Because if you are paying the bills and you don't respect your children, or a child who is 2 years old, 1 year old, you don't respect that child, what are you doing? That child is already learning. So respect is very, very important, because the way you treat other people is the same way you'll be treated. Don't treat people in your household as if they're a bag of mistakes. And then you go out, say at work, in the community, and you are raising people higher, and doing everything for them. You are simply fooling yourself. So let's respect each other, regardless of their age, their size, their height, their weight, their everything. So I think I'll end there for now. Thank you, Aqua.
Thank you, Nelly. Thank you very much. Yes, respect is earned and not demanded. So we need to earn the respect. It's not just because you're the dad or you're the mom that you will be respected. We will respect you as a human being. We'll respect you because you have that intrinsic value as a God's creation. But when it comes to the role, if you're not doing what you should be doing, if you're not taking care of your responsibilities, if you're not emotionally available, that it can bring a lot of disrespect. So people will respond to you politely, but deep down they will not tell you exactly how they're feeling about you. They will not be open to you to share, because they don't feel like you value what they're saying anyway. So it's important, really important, that we understand these things. And it is not easy. We're not sitting here saying that we're doing everything that we have said. We are learning in the process of having these discussions, because sometimes, like I said earlier, if we think that our way is the best, then we think we're perfect, and there is no one that's there's no perfect person, and no person will ever be perfect, no human being. So it's important that we're open to learning, and approach as well matters. And like what you said about having an intention, when you're coming, when you're coming to have a difficult conversation, have an end goal in mind, but don't presume that that end goal will have to be the outcome of that discussion before it is a satisfactory one. You may have your end goal in that, for example, if there's a conflict, for example, and you say you want to go to Liverpool, and the other person says they want to go to Birmingham, but you all need a day trip out. You know, I want to go to Birmingham because my friends are there. I want to go to Liverpool because the sea is there. We may all have different intentions, but we have to find a common ground. And if you're in a household, you should act as a team and not individuals. Teamwork is critical. The sense of belonging, the sense of having a voice matters a lot. So if we don't consider ourselves as a team, if we're competing with one another, then no matter how our intentions, we will come, one person will talk, another person will talk, you finish expressing yourself, and there'll be no solution. Because you know that, okay, I've told them my mind, I've said what I had to say in my mind, I'm going to express myself the way I want to express. They will hear my mind today. And yes, they have their mind. So what? So what? You've told them your mind. So what? So we need to have that thing at the back of our minds, that if we're in a family, we are a team, and we should be going in the same direction and not in opposing ends. So we have to meet in the middle. Somehow we all want a trip. Maybe we'll compromise and go to Waterworld. Waterworld will be close to Birmingham. You also have the water that I wanted in Liverpool. So it's about listening and be open to coming up with solutions that benefit everybody as much as possible. So yeah, it's important that we think about these things carefully.
Yeah. I think compromise is something that we need to look into, because we have reasons for wanting to do anything. But then if we focus only on what we want and ignoring what the other person wants or what other people want, then we'll always be at loggerheads. So which is why we need to be ready to compromise and come to a common conclusion, which will benefit the majority, or not everyone. So thank you so much for that. I've really enjoyed this session today. And yeah, Aqua, so tell us how can they contact us to find out more?
Okay, so at Hand in Hand, we like to work hand in hand. So, so yeah, so if you want to find out more about what we do, contact us direct, send us a direct message on Facebook or visit our website on www.handhandcommunitycic.com. handhandcommunitycic.com. There you'll find all our events that are coming up, including our monthly Explore Your Neighborhood project. We're going about the Northwest and exploring the beautiful sites around us. It does not even up to 20 kilometers away, not even up to 10 kilometers away sometimes. So there's so much beauty around us that we sometimes are not aware of. So join us every first Saturday of the month for our Explore Your Neighborhood activity. And secondly, we have our holiday activity and food sessions coming up in August, second week of August. You can find the details on our website, or you can contact us directly on social media. And thirdly, drum roll. We are soon to be delivering an emotional well-being workshop. Coming soon. We're going to make a big announcement in a big way when we tell you all about it. But if you would like to understand more about your emotions, understand who you are and how you can thrive even in the midst of challenges, then our workshop is for you. So think about it. If you're struggling with your emotions, if you're struggling to communicate, like we just said, if you're struggling to identify what triggers you have, we are the people to talk to. So join, go to our website and find out all about what we do. And we'll give you more information about our emotional well-being workshops that are coming up in the next in the next month or so. Yeah. Have I said everything, Nelly?
Now, yes. Okay, thank you so much, Aqua. Thank you, everyone. And it's always a pleasure for us delivering this, because in this process, as we speak, as we have this conversation, it triggers a lot of things within us, and we learn, which is why we like talking, because we are not just throwing out whatever we are saying to you. We are also reflecting on our experiences, on our lives, and we are learning from each other. Yeah. And that's a reason we always encourage you watching us to join the panel, to send in your contributions, send in your comment, and also any questions, because like someone said, I can't remember, but if you are not learning, you are dying. We want to be learning and growing to be the best version of ourselves. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a blessed rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.